Yo, Inca, you want to come out here? This video is as late as it is because one of our matches did not play relatively on time, and that's okay. People go on vacation. People are allowed to have lives. So, hi. This will go up on Wednesday, November 5th, by the time you're watching this. I am currently recording this, and, you know, the Giants haven't played yet. NFL hasn't really been played yet outside the Thursday night game, so, you know, hopefully everything goes right. I could hopefully imagine the Giants losing, but, I mean, you got to have some faith, you know. I'm not going to try and do this, I'm going to predict the games right now because we're talking about Pokemon, so shut up and get ready for the MDA Week 4, Week 5 review preview. I'm IncogM. Let's talk about it. First and foremost, very good week of games. Definitely recommend watching the games. Some surprises there, I will say that. And then we'll get into how the Week 5 matches are going to look. And definitely some clashes of Titans. So, let's get started. First game of the week was the Flora Fluttermanes beating the Orlando Celebertics. This really came down to the fact that as a 2-1 series set, Scarf Landorus, since nobody banned anything, was very dangerous into Pantros' team, and unfortunately in Game 1, that proved itself very well. But from that point onward, now knowing that it was Scarf, Pantros found a way to play around Ian's Landorus, and also figured out, you know what, lead Meowscarada is pretty good. Lead Magmortar, while it is kind of funny, is still okay. Definitely a really good game for offense. I definitely think that both coaches had their head on a swivel trying to figure out how to get around each other. I mean, we definitely saw that calm-minding Tapu Fini. And in addition to that, I don't recall as well, I think it was Sub or some sort of Fluttermane set. A lot of interesting moves this game, can't lie to you there. Definitely a great turn 1 game 2 for Meowscarada. I definitely think that, you know, Panther's still vying for making the playoffs, so it's definitely very valuable for him to have made all the choices he made throughout this week, or at least throughout this battle, excuse me. And for Ian, I don't know. Don't ask me, ask him, and he's not going to tell you if he cares or not. He's just going to sit there and stare at you. But congratulations to Pantros on his 2-1 set victory. He moves on to 2-2, I'm pretty sure. Well, Ian, I believe, falls down to 1-3. Once again, I don't quite recall as much, but we'll get there when we get there. You'll see the standings. Regardless, next game up was the Stockton Cerule Edge versus the Texas Toadscruel, and we saw Bloody take a 2-0 win. And man, oh man, we're still seeing potential Mega Diancie, and it's still not putting up as many numbers as it would like to. We see Koraidon definitely putting in a lot of work, but that game won. I mean, both games were really good, but I will say for the record that game 2, if you've never seen a specific Eternatus set, I'm not going to tell you what it is, but just watch out for that game 2, okay? Mew definitely did a lot of good work here, and overall, Bloody, as usual, playing a really good balanced game. I didn't really like the interaction between Ogerpon, Wellspring, and Celesteela. Definitely could have used some work there on QSN's side, but hey, shit happens, and you know, it happens to some of us some days, and it was just QSN. So, it'd be like that. I definitely think that this could have gone at least 3 games, but just, you know, decisions were made. I put 0-3 from Amosine. It should be 0-2, but you don't see, and it shouldn't be 7-3. Why did I? Anyways, sorry. I when I edit these and I try to correct them and then overcorrect them and everything else, things get missed. But you probably didn't notice that unless you're genuinely looking at the screen. But it'll be fine on the stats page. I promise. I swear. But congratulations to Bloody on his 2-0 victory over the Texas Toadscruel. I'm pretty sure Bloody moves up to 2-2. Well, Texas, unfortunately, is still without a win. But don't worry. We'll talk about how this next week goes later. We'll tell you about the matchup later because that's going to be interesting. But moving on. We had the Malformed take a 2-0 victory over the Electabuzz Little League and continuing their undefeated streak while claiming another undefeated victim to the defeated column. Malformed definitely had a really good 2-game set here. Dialga Origin once again proving that it is a threat. And of course, the Scarf Killer Watch Roll of Game 1 taking out Potential B was definitely very funny. Avalug battle, I mean, technically regular Avalug won since it got 2 kills, but it did die 2 times. Well, Avalug Hisuian didn't really do too much, if I'm being honest. But I definitely liked Terraghost and Ting Lu from Sandy to prevent getting rid of Hazard, which definitely mattered in that Game 2 set. Arceus Bug was definitely still doing his thing. And, you know, overall, really great game. I think this is a great set. And definitely showed you that while both teams were undefeated, they hadn't played each other yet. It definitely shows you that despite the bans with Blacephalon and I believe Deoxys Attack, both of these teams have to consider the other teams really threatening options. I mean, Dialga Origin, having not been banned one time this season, mind you, still was very interesting to me. And meanwhile, Electabuzz could probably elect to ban that next time. And while Deoxys might still get banned next time, if they change up anything on their team, then you never know, they could have the 2 Uber set where you kind of have the thing that Sandy has going on, but a little bit better. But congratulations, Sandy, on their 2-0 victory, moving on to 4-0, and Oscar unfortunately falling down to 3-1, but still very much in the tightly knit playoff race. But the last game of the week took a little bit, but you know, each of the coaches went on vacation, still got it done. Thank you to Primer and Mark. But what a 2-game set. So, as you can probably tell, because I had to edit this last, I didn't have a chance to move over Primer's logo, but it's over there. Don't you worry. Primer took a 2-0 set victory with the Iron Treads putting up fucking Shaquille O'Neal numbers and everything else just doing its job. And yes, that is 2 deaths on the other side. Trust and believe, 2 deaths. We finally got to see Ditto. We finally got to really see potentially, you know, how Ditto could function in a system where it allows itself to really genuinely be used. And holy shit, it could have gone better, could have gone worse. Not gonna lie to you there. But regardless of that, I'm missing a death, or a death shouldn't be accounted for, which is all good. But, you know, Primer put up a really, really decent stand, and with Iron Treads putting up so much work, I believe you have to watch these 2 games and really see how well Iron Treads put Bell to ass. I cannot lie to you. It's looking very grim for our Zigzagoon's great friend, but with this upcoming week, we can see if they can finally pull out a victory, or will it be more of the same? Because now that they're 0-4 and Primer moves on to 4-0, you guessed it, another funny situation has occurred. But let's continue into the standings, of course. Congratulations to Primer on their 2-0 set victory. Hell yeah. So, like I said, 2-4-0 teams. We have Primer, we have Sandy. Differentials about 2 between them. You have Oscar at 3-1. You have the 2-2s in Bloody and Pantros. And then you have the 1-3 in Ian, and then the 0-4s. This is a very crucial week for a lot of teams to get good victories and try not to get swept up in the madness. Please understand that a lot of teams are definitely still vying for viability into the playoff race, even all the way down to our 7th and 8th seeds. Should they decide to win out their final 3 games, they can definitely make a push. Just need that differential to be better, but honestly, beggars can never be choosers. Meanwhile, the 4-0 teams probably will not drop out at 4-3, but anything's possible. Should they win their week 5 games individually, they should confirm, or will confirm rather. And that's pretty important. That is pretty important. But let's move on, shall we? Our first game of the week is, of course, the 4-0s. That's right. Now, you're probably seeing an empty slot on Sandy's side. He dropped Garbodor for Ariados, and this is why I was saying this took forever. I'm going to forget things. So imagine an Ariados is right there. And honestly, I'm pretty sure I have the Sprite, if I'm being real with you. I don't think I have it. So don't worry about what I'm doing in the background here. But let's keep talking about this matchup, shall we? So Sandy opted to ban the Miraidon, which unsurprisingly, everybody, got banned again. Who would have guessed? Any of you? You out there? Vassar? Random Trainer X? Anybody? See? I know who watches my videos. But regardless of how much I call out people watching the videos, It's very obvious that, you know, with everything that happens, Arceus Bug getting banned is a funny ban. I still think Dialga Origin should have been banned, but that's nor here nor there. It's right here, right now, however. And the problem that arises with 2 4-0 teams is that you want to say, oh, this Pokemon should have been banned. And then it's like, well, I guess, but like, also, maybe I don't know. Maybe Arceus Bug is just that good. I don't know. I truthfully cannot tell you anything. But what I do know is that despite all of that, Miraidon getting banned again is unsurprising to everybody. I think it's been banned, I want to say 2 or 3 times now, which is obviously like hilarious to everybody who knows it, but it's like, of course it's been banned a couple of times. Why wouldn't it get banned, obviously? But then you see the Arceus Bug, and you're like, huh, you know, I never really considered Arceus Bug to ever get really banned. Oh my god, is that Ariados in the corner that's moving over to the thing, making it so I don't look fucking stupid? Oh my god, Ariados, hi. Anyways, like I was saying, it'll be there next week, don't worry, I'm sorry. Just, you know, things happen. Anyways, despite all my ranting and rambling, I think that this would have been a better time to ban Deoxys Origin, as it has a relatively good time against Primar's entire team, with coverage out the wazoo and being able to hit generally everything for super effective damage, outside of, I would say, Milotic. I'm not too sure if Dialga gets really a grass move. The only difference is that Dialga Origin has to hold the Origin Orb, so, or the Adamant Crystal, I think it's really called. So Mega Gallade puts belt to ass on that Mon pretty much effectively. Outside of that, that Mon can put up, I would say, Kobe 81 game numbers on Jalen Rose. So be careful, Primer. Outside of that, also, what we have here is a great matchup for, I would arguably say, still Kilowattrel. Kilowattrel puts up a lot of good numbers here. It's faster than generally everything on this team outside of booster speeds on the Paradox Mons. But outside of that, Kilowattrel puts up a lot of good numbers. Potentially Terra Ice Kilowattrel puts up a lot of numbers. Even Terra Ground does really well here. Sandy's team is very much well built for this. And I mean, like, with Ariados being added, you definitely get the aspect of Sticky Web as well. You could see a defensive unit of something like Ting-Lu and Blastoise putting up a lot of good numbers for the defensive efforts. I definitely think you're going to see a little Executor. I think the problem with seeing Cradily and seeing even like Leech Seed, you have to bring something that can at least absorb or at least block out the Leech Seed, and you can either bring Terra Grass or you can bring a little Executor, and Sandy's no stranger doing both, so we'll see. On the Primer side of things, I think Primer definitely can put up a really good game this week. He is known for doing that. Like I mentioned earlier, Mega Gallade puts a really big belt to ass, especially if you can get rid of Kilowattrel early on, and arguably nothing else outpaces without webs going up. I believe, yeah, nothing else should outpace. And then outside of that, you could definitely use Drifblim as a really good mitigator for just in general strength sapping a physical Dialga, or just in general being very annoying this game. I haven't really seen Drifblim do too much, but it can definitely provide a little bit. But because of Ting-Lu and Blacephalon, you might not see it. I definitely think support Mousehold's really good this game as well. And outside of that, the Paradox Mons all put belt to ass, or really put a lot of pressure on Sandy's defensive core of Ting-Lu and Blastoise, and even Hisuian Avalugg to some extent. So I definitely think this will be a 2-1 set regardless. I cannot tell you who wins. I can only tell you it's a 2-1 set, okay? Now, we're going to transition over. We're going to get rid of Ariados. I will have you here next week. Do not worry. And we're going to transition over to the next matchup, which is the Stockton Ceruledge versus the Flora Fluttermanes. So 2-2 teams. Galarian Darmanitan and Tornadus T respectively banned on each side. How's it going? So Eternatus still remains another fucking week unbanned for some reason, and I'm going to make fun of everybody for this until they ban it. Eternatus puts up legendary numbers, or we're going to see the renaissance of a Mew/King Gambit run over. I think that this is Flora's game to at least try to intercept and get back really heavy into the playoff race. Otherwise, these next 2 weeks are going to become very, very crucial, because falling to that faded 3 and 4 definitely puts you in a really precarious spot, and 4 and 3 is definitely where you want to end up by the end of the season. If you can avoid it, going 5 and 2 is also good, but Not everyone can do it, and with the teams that I'm looking at, sometimes that doesn't happen, and it might not. But realistically, I think Stockton should take this 2-1. I think that Panthers will manage to get off a game finally using Orthworm to its fullest capabilities. Maybe not just using Shedtail, but just in general. Maybe a Terra Orthworm could put in a lot of work with Iron Defense Body Press. Miascarada definitely puts up a lot of work Choice Scarf-wise. I mean, Triple Axle, Flower Trick, Sucker Punch, or Knockoff, and then anything else you can think of. Really does put a lot of dent on this team, especially with Tornadus being banned. In addition to that, Fluttermane definitely can basically be locked in, or it can just be a sub or Will-O-Wisp set rather for King Gambit, as well as something like the Ogerpon. Just doing the best it can to get off burn so that something like Meowscarada can come in and beat down on weakened Mons, and as well Mega Medicham. And Panthers have definitely been using that Mag Mortar pretty well, so I mean that could definitely work out too. On the flip side, Bloody Bane, Galarian, Demanatan just meant, listen, this Mon puts up godlike numbers on me. I need to get rid of it. And honestly, I agree with that band. I think that you have enough Mons to deal with it, but you still don't want to have to deal with the Galarian Demanatan. I definitely think this is a really good week, like I said, from you and King Gambit, but I also think that Ogerpon can definitely put up a lot of good numbers here. With Swords Dance, dual coverage, and then low kick, you're realistically looking at a team that has to bring Staraptor, and if it has to bring Staraptor, we have the defensive core of, hold on, of not a whole lot, but we can definitely still deal with that Mon. Bloody has proven this season, despite the 2-2 record, do not fret. This man is really good at this game. So he can definitely still carry his own weight in this league. Even if his record isn't perfect, he is still really, really formidable. So I think Bloody wins this 2-1. I think Pantros figures this out either game 1 or game 2, and then we see a game 3 victory by Bloody. But hey, anything's possible. Pantros could definitely put the team on his back and be like, hey, let's lock in this week. Oh, I also didn't mention fucking Yon Mega could definitely put in a lot of good work with Speed Boost, but that depends on the Terra if it shows up. But 2-1 Bloody this week, I think. But let's move on to the next game of action, which is, of course, the 0-4 Tank Bowl. I won't say that they're tanking because that implies they get something out of this for losing. But hey, two teams that are 0-4. One of them has to leave out of here 1-4. So who will it be? Texas bans the Clodsire, while Zigzagoon bans the Celesteela. Both really reasonable bans. We see Zacian Crown Unleashed and Megazard Y still running around unbanned, which makes sense, obviously. We could have seen Ditto or Buzzwole get banned, but I think QSN gets back on the rocker this week and decides, you know what, let's put up some numbers. I think the Celesteela getting banned, while it is good because it definitely can sit in front of a lot of these Mons, wasn't necessary. You have a Mega Charizard Y on top of just being able to have, I would argue and say you would have had Clodsire or even try to use something else. But honestly, I get it. I guess Goodra with Sap Sipper would also work for like the least seeding sets, but nonetheless, I'm enjoying the ban of Celesteela here. I get it. I understand it. What I don't understand here is how we have allowed, I mean, Koraidon has gotten banned before, right? But like, why? I guess my question would have been like more so like, is it that Koraidon's just so good that it doesn't warrant a ban or something? I don't get it, but hasn't been banned so frequently, I'm pretty sure. I could be very wrong. I'm not going to correct myself. Regardless of that, Celesteela is still a good ban, and I think that Zigzagoon could definitely take this victory. That Zacian Crown's going to have to put up like triple overtime, and I mean, after that, realistically, this team has to really figure out if it wants to run Trick Room with like Iron Thorns plus Spear Tube, and even having Ditto be able to copy the Great Tusk or the Koraidon could definitely reverse matters into Mark's favor. As well, you could see something like, obviously with the Sun team that's here, Vaporeon's going to have to put up some really good defensive numbers, and without Clodsire, you are basically fucked. You definitely have to use Vaporeon and Goodra as your defensive walls, and not against this team. I don't believe that's really good there, Steve. And on QSN's end, banning the Clodsire made this matchup so much easier. I mean, Koraidon, Entei, Primarina not in the sun. Mega Diancie fucking puts up generational numbers as long as Zacian Crown is dead. And even then, it has to wait for Rillaboom to really like not be there or be dead. So Mega Dancing could definitely pop out this week, but maybe not. It's been a very potential Mon-ass Mega, just like Mega Beedrill. But can definitely put up some numbers this week. Definitely get its differential a little bit less terrible. Outside of that, you could definitely see things like Overquill putting up T-Spikes since the poison type in question is no longer there. So T-Spikes could definitely make a very big difference just in general hazard control, or hazard spamming could definitely help, because unfortunately on Mark's side, all we have really is what, Defog, Buzzwold, and Charizard. Why? Not really seeing a way that we're going to get that this week, but you never know. QSN should probably win this 2-1. If Mark gets his victory, hey, good for you, but I'm going to go ahead and chance it on the guy who has the Sun team. The real Sun team, I guess, but Mark doesn't really have a Sun team. He has a bunch of guys, which I really still like this team. Moving on to the last matchup of the week, we have the Orlando Solar Beartics and the Electabuzz Little League. Once again, Ian preferring not to use my system and not banning anything, while we do see Oscar go ahead and ban Tapu Fini. Without bans, I mean, like, Electabuzz should be taking this 2-0. There's not really much to say outside of that. Like, Annihilate, Deoxys Attack, like, goddamn Araquanid, Avalugg. Like, everything on this team outside of, like, Taboo Bulu, and I would technically say Stack Attacka for the most part, are putting up really good numbers. All he really needs to do is make sure that Landorus doesn't get too out of pocket, or if it's Scarf, to make sure that you have a really good way of checking that with, like, Avalugg, of course. And Avalugg could definitely play a really huge role here against the physical attackers of Necrozma and even something like Dhelmise and Snorlax and stuff like that. But outside of that, Deoxys Attack puts up generational numbers as long as it can get off what it has to do. And then Mega Beedrill could definitely be potential B this week, but it could be a little bit better. Ursaluna puts up a lot of decent numbers this game as well. I like the Banana Tapu Fini. It allows you to really take control of the terrain if you need to bring Bulu, but Bulu's not great this week anyway. But hey, it at least prevents him from having Fini. And on Ian's side, without a ban, there's not really much to commentate over in terms of what's really good and what's really bad. I think that Landorus and Necrozma definitely can put up really good numbers if Landorus can just figure out how to fix that damn door. With Dhelmise and Snorlax being two of his best Mons, they're definitely going to put up a lot of numbers regardless of what's happening. I think there just has to be a really solid way to get through Avalugg, and without your primary special attacker, you're kind of in a weird situation where Avalugg defensively can definitely be very hard to beat. Iron Defense Body Press, while not effective on the Dhelmise, Ice is still very fucked up. But hey, maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, but I definitely think this should go to Oscar 2-0. I think if Ian gives him a run for his money, that's even better, but Oscar should win this set pretty handily, but obviously I've seen weirder things happen in my life. But that's going to do it for the Week 4 review and Week 5 preview. I'm IncogM, and like I said, this goes up on November 5th, which is Wednesday. Hopefully you guys like this, and hopefully you guys are well rested from the time jump backward, I'm pretty sure, since we gained an hour of sleep. Hopefully you guys are all good for that. Hopefully you guys have been liking Legends EA. I'll be honest, love that game to death, just haven't had the time to really record it, but I'll get around to it. You guys know that. But thank you guys for watching the MDA, and replays down below, of course. I'm not doing highlights until playoffs, I don't believe, so I'm very sorry for promising that early on, but life is hectic, and we're getting to the busy season at my job. So thank you guys for watching. If you guys like this, leave a like, comment, subscribe, and until next time, good night and good luck.